A very good afternoon, class. Today I'll be teaching about dysfunctional uterine bleeding, DUB, or known as menorrhagia. So, DUB or dysfunctional uterine bleeding is any bleeding from the vagina that varies from a woman's normal menstrual cycle. So, if there's any bleeding from the vagina during a woman's menstrual cycle, that is called dysfunctional uterine bleeding. The normal cycle is triggered by signals from hormones. DUB occurs when the cycle's hormone signals gets thrown off. This can include alternating periods that are heavy and light, or spotting, or any unpredictable shorter and longer cycles. So that is basically DUB. It occurs when the cycle's hormone signals are being thrown off or they're being cut off. So that will include maybe alternate periods which are heavy or which are very light, or maybe spotting, or any unpredictable short days or longer days. Next definition, DUB is abnormal uterine bleeding that has no organic cause. So there is no specific cause for this abnormal bleeding, such as tumor, infection, or pregnancy. A blood loss of greater than 80 ml or lasting longer than 7 days is known as menorrhagia. So the simple definition of menorrhagia is given here, that if a female is bleeding for more than 80 ml of blood, which is lasting longer, which is for a duration of more than 7 days, then we called it as menorrhagia. Or another definition is the menstrual bleeding that is abnormally heavy or abnormal in timing. So that is known as menorrhagia. Now coming to the etiology. What can be the etiology? The first is immature hypothalamic stimulation. Okay, so if the hypothalamus, the activity of hypothalamus is disrupted, or it is immature, or it is not functioning, then that can be one of the cause. Next, pelvic inflammatory disease. Any inflammation in the pelvic cavity, that can be infection in the uterus or infection in the fallopian tubes, the ovaries, and the cervix, that can lead to menorrhagia. Next, any cases of intrauterine devices. Okay, so these also can cause bleeding. Next, use of blood thinner. Blood thinner, for example, injection, aspirin. These are anticoagulants which leads to excessive bleeding. Next, if there's any cancer in the uterus, cancer in the ovaries, or cancer in the cervix, then that also can be one of the cause for menorrhagia. Next, excessive buildup in endometrial lining. So if there's any abnormal growth outpouching from the endometrium, so that also can lead to menorrhagia. If there's any hormonal imbalance, okay, so if the balance in the hormone levels is disrupted, or if there is any abnormal changes in the hormonal levels, then that also can be one of the cause for menorrhagia. Next, corpus luteum dysfunction. Next, ovarian failure in premenopausal women, emotional liability, and malnutrition. So here malnutrition also plays a very important role in causing menorrhagia. What are the signs and symptoms? Abnormal bleeding may occur in any of the following patterns. Number 1, oligomenorrhea. Oligomenorrhea is diminished or infrequent menstruation. Next, menorrhagia. Menorrhagia is excessive bleeding during regular menstruation. So patient is having regular menstrual cycle, but patient is having, at the same time, she is having excessive bleeding during the menses period. So that is called menorrhagia. Metrorrhagia. Metrorrhagia is abnormal bleeding from the uterus between regular menstrual periods. So that is metrorrhagia. Next, polymenorrhea. Polymenorrhea is frequent menstruation occurring at intervals of less than 3 weeks. So basically within 3 weeks, the gap between 3 weeks, suppose a female patient is having menses, like 2 or more menses at intervals. So that is called polymenorrhea. Next, menometrorrhagia. Meno, as you can see here, this word is a combination of menorrhea, combination of metrorrhagia. So, excessive bleeding at the usual time of menstruation and at other irregular intervals is called menometrorrhagia. So, if a patient is having bleeding during menses, excessive bleeding during menses, or she's having heavy bleeding at irregular intervals. So that is called menometrorrhagia. Other symptoms of menorrhagia are anemia, which is due to blood loss, shortness of breath, sleeplessness, that is not able to have proper sleep, fatigue, tiredness, and disturbed daily activities. So because of excessive heavy bleeding, the patient will be tired, she will be weak, so she will not be able to perform her daily activities. Next, the diagnostic test or diagnostic evaluation. First, the patient will have to undergo pregnancy test. Why is she having excessive bleeding? So we have to do a pregnancy test. Next, CBC to detect anemia and platelets. So we have to do a complete blood cell count to detect the hemoglobin level, to detect the RBC levels, the WBC levels, and the platelet count. Next, TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. Okay, so this is done to rule out if the patient is having any or suffering from any hypothyroidism. Next, pap smear test to rule out the malignancy. Pap smear test is basically done in case of any cervical cancer. Okay, to detect if the patient is having any cervical cancer, then we can do a test called pap smear test. Next, hysteroscopy to detect the uterine fibroids, polyps, and other lesions. So hysteroscopy is a procedure where we get to view the image of the uterus or the fallopian tubes and to see if there's any fibroids or if there's any lesions present within it. Next, endometrial biopsy and laparoscopy is also done. Next, we come to the management. What treatment should be given to a person suffering from menorrhagia? So first, treat the underlying anemia with iron, possible transfusion. So we can give iron supplements to the patient, and also if the hemoglobin is too less, then as per the doctor's advice, then we will have to transfuse blood. Next, progesterone therapy to stop acute bleeding. Progesterone therapy, progesterone tablets in the form of tablets also, and in the form of cream and gels also are present. So we can give these to stop bleeding. Norethistérone, which is given to prevent proliferation of endometrium. So this treatment can also be given to the patient. Next, NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs such as brufen, ibuprofen, naproxen. This is given why to decrease the pain and also decrease the blood loss. Next, tranexamic acid or injection Tranexa. This is given why to reduce the menstrual blood loss. Next, hormonal contraceptives is given to control the bleeding. Androgen therapy with a gonadotropin releasing hormone such as danazol is given to the patient because of hormonal imbalance in the patient. So in order to maintain the balance, therefore we will give androgen therapy. Next, dilation and curettage. It is a procedure where first we will dilate the cervix of the patient and then we will insert a curette inside through the vagina, and we will scrape out whatever contents are present in the uterus. So in case of a patient suffering from fibroids or there's any lesion, so we will scrape out by using a curette. That is the meaning of curettage. So we will scrape whatever the contents is left in the uterus, and therefore that will help into reducing the blood loss. Next, hysterectomy is done in severe cases. Hysterectomy is removal of uterus. Myomectomy is done to remove the fibroids. So these are the management for menorrhagia. Next, coming to the nursing management. First, we have to assess the patient's ability to perform the daily living activities. Next, we have to assess the patient's nutritional ingestion. So, uh, what is the patient's nutritional status? Whether she's having nausea, vomiting, or she is having loss of appetite, not able to take food, not able to swallow food. Okay, so that also we have to check. And uh, why this is happening? Because fatigue may be symptoms of vitamin, proteins, and iron deficiency. So because of deficiencies in the iron or deficiency of the vitamins and proteins, the patient will be tired and not able to take food or swallow food and having loss of appetite. Then we should suggest the patient to wear double tampons or double sanitary pads to suck the or to absorb the excessive bleeding, the blood loss. Next, teach the patient to accept heavy bleeding on arising from lying or reclining position. So whenever the patient is moving from one position to another, for example, from a supine position, she is shifting to a side lying position, lateral position, or she is shifting to a prone position. So the patient should expect that there will be heavy bleeding on moving from one position to another. Next, we should review pattern of menstrual flow with the patient and help her plan for excessive blood loss. So we have to educate the patient. We have to tell the patient to maintain a diary where she should write how many sanitary pads she has been using for one day, and what is the amount of blood. I mean, what is the proportion of how much portion of the sanitary pads are being filled with the blood. So that also can be noted in the diary. So therefore we have to review a pattern of the menstrual flow and how many times she's changing the sanitary pads in one day. Also that has to be noted. Promote to take nutritional diet. We have to promote the patient to take high protein diet, iron rich diet, take lots of fruits and vegetables. Encourage the patient to take iron rich diet, like I said. Then administer the injections ordered by the doctors, that is progesterones to stop acute bleeding, administer injection tranexamic acid to reduce menstrual blood loss. We can also administer hormonal contraceptives as ordered to control the chronic bleeding. We'll encourage the patient to take lots of fluids, okay, in terms of water or fruits, fresh juices. Next, monitor hemoglobin and infuse packed red blood cells as ordered by the doctor. Next, nursing diagnosis: fatigue related to excessive blood loss, fear of bleeding through clothing related to excessive or unpredictable bleeding. Next, anemia related to blood loss and disturbed daily activities related to disease conditions. So these are the 4 nursing diagnoses that can be applied to the disease condition menorrhagia.